Three, two, one, we're live.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome you to the November 7th, 2011 Morganton City Council meeting. This is a very special night, particularly with one of our own is retiring from the City Council after spending 16 years with us and 30 years with the Department of Public Safety. So Larry Whiston will be making some comments in just a little while. At this time, I'd like to call on Sheldon Stevenson to lead us with their invocation. Steve.
Just a word of thanks to Larry for his inspiration since I've been around, and appreciate your leadership, Larry, very much. Very much. I hope that many of you were at the Comma last Saturday night when we saw really a fabulous, tremendous program on Civil War voices. And the thing that seemed to me that they expressed the emotions involved that must have been involved in the Civil War at that time, and the sadness and the division and the loss of loved ones and things like that must have been a terrible strain in that struggling time of the people. And the thing that I'm raising up about for this evening is how central God was in terms of the life and the strength of these people when they were in the midst of the struggle. This I will hold before you because it seems to me that today in our lives, so many people are trying to take God out of everything. And what I'm trying to say with this thought this evening is that God is essential for what our strength and our vitality may be. Now, these people, the Civil War voices, they sang hymns, and as important to me, so often was that the Lord was mentioned in the hymns that they were singing. You remember these words, "My Lord, what a morning when the stars began to fall," you know? Or, "Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored." The Lord has promised good to me, His word my hope secure. He will my shield and protection be, so long as life shall endure. And in those days, of course, life was very iffy in the time, so their dependence upon the presence of God in the midst of their personal and national life was very, very important. So I'd like to have as a kind of a prayer tonight a piece of scripture that is from the Bible that would be open to Hebrews or Muslims or Christians, but I would have you think about it in terms of the vitality of God that's expressed in this scripture. Have you not known? Have you not heard? The everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not, neither groweth weary. There's no searching of his understanding. He gives power to the faint. To those who hath no might, he increases their strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and young people shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. I trust you'll rise up like eagles with wings like eagles and fly. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Steve. Introduction of our City Council. On my far right is Dr. Alfred Hamer, Mayor Pro Tem. Forrest Fleming, City Councilman. Steve Settlemeyer, City Attorney. And I'm Mel Cohen, your Mayor. Sally Sandy, City Manager. Larry Whiston, City Councilman. John Cantrell, City Councilman. Kelly Russell, Recording Secretary. And Becky Brinkley, interpreting for our deaf community. Again, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight on this very special night. We have a resolution that we want to read for Mr. Wisner. And I will read the resolution, and as I normally do, I don't ask for no votes, particularly in this one, Larry.
This council don't do many no votes.
No votes. Resolution recognizing the services of J. Larry Whiston. Whereas J. Larry Whiston, Larry, retired from the city of Morganton on July 1, 1994, as a major in the Public Safety Department. And whereas after his retirement, he then ran for, and the voters of Morganton elected him as member of the Morganton City Council for 4 consecutive terms, serving from 1995 through December 5, 2011. And whereas during his 16 years as a member of the City Council, Larry was a vocal supporter of progressive government and steadfastly insisted that decisions be made for the best interest of the citizens of Morganton. And whereas Larry was appointed to and served with distinction on the Foothills Regional Airport Authority, helping it transition into a more modern airport. Now, therefore, in recognition of his dedicated work as a member of the City Council, the City Council of the City of Morganton does publicly recognize J. Larry Wiston for his 46 years of outstanding service to this city and its citizens, and extend to Larry, on the occasion of his retirement as a member of the Morganton City Council, its best wishes for service beyond the call of duty. Be it further ordered that a copy of this resolution shall be delivered to J. Larry Wiston as a token of esteem and enrolled upon the permanent records of the City of Morganton in appreciation for services rendered. Issued by special direction of the City Council on the 7th day of November 2011, Melcoin Mayor, Sally Sandy, City Clerk. All in favor say aye.
Uh-huh.
I won't do that. Since this is the first time, I think, in many moons that I've been able to give someone on this board the retirement resolution, and I want to wish you well and Godspeed. And the microphone is yours, Larry.
Can I have your soapbox?
You can.
Thank you. Not often you get the mayor's soapbox. Well, first off, I'd like to thank everybody that supported me over the years. I guess for an old boy from Oak Hill, that never had any desire to leave Morganton, had opportunities, and I never did. It's been an honor to be able to do this and have that much faith folks have had in me. But tonight's not really about me. It's about Karen Duncan, it's about Bill Harkins, it's about Cheryl Dallinger, it's about Lee Anderson I see back here, and I'm going to leave somebody out, and Sally. It's about these people that are dedicated to this city, that are consistent and stable. And I think that's been one of the biggest things that the city of Morganton has been, is stable. And I think the voters of this community recognize that, and they certainly did this last election by re-electing the mayor and putting Sidney Simmons on the council in my place. I think he'll be a good council person. And the residents has done that in the past with my friend Forrest Fleming. Didn't have any opposition this time. The mayor says you can retire from that district over there, so there might be something to that. But Forrest run hard, and he won, and that's a good thing. But any accomplishments that I've made, it's been because of every member on this council. I know in lots of times in the past people will say, well, you all vote in lockstep. We sure do sometimes. And the reason for that is simply this. This whole body has got one thing in mind, and that's the betterment of this community. The only thing that we disagree on is how do we get there. Everything else is the same. Dr. Hamer, when I first came on this council, was very gracious to me. He's like a godfather to this council, and I appreciate everything that he done. I didn't know Forrest very well, but I've gotten to know him, and he's making an excellent council person, and I'm proud to call him a friend and a co-council person. Steve Settlemeyer, without a doubt, is the finest municipal attorney in North Carolina, and I don't know how the city is going to replace him. It's going to be very difficult. And Mayor Mail, the only thing that needs to be said about Mail when he decides not to be mayor, when they put his picture out here in the hallway, it's just simple one caption, Mayor Mail, best ever. That's all that needs to be said. And with Sally, we got a twofer. Not only did we get a good city manager, but we got an expert financial person. And between her and Karen Duncan, I don't know how that we've kept from having to raise taxes or how we got through some of these budgets. I said every year for the last 3 or 4 years, I don't know how we're going to do it. But they managed to get us through and make us look good. And that's what all the employees in this city, and I hear lots of times folks grumble about the city employees. Our employees in the past several years have had to do more with less. And they have stepped up to the plate to the person and done that. And I just like to recognize those folks tonight for all the effort that they put forward. And they make us all look good. And my friend John, who I've sat beside all these years, John, we got a twofer in John. John has a good background in finance as well. And John sees things different than most of us, and he asks the hard questions, and that's a good thing. He just looks at it in a different perspective lots of times, but John's usually right most of the time. And I've been proud to sit beside of him all these years. It's been a pleasure, and I've used him as a sounding board. We whisper back and forth a lot to each other, but it's just things that I need to know, and he's always there to answer it for me. But it's been a good ride. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. My family has served this community for over 100 years. My brother, I've got two brothers. I've got one that retired from the city, and the other one is presently a deputy sheriff. And my nephew is carrying on the tradition in public safety. We've got 100 years of continuous service in this city, and I'm proud of that. And I think probably if I'm going to be remembered of anything, I'd like to be remembered as someone that made a difference in the community at some point in time. And I've always believed that you gauge and judge a person's character by how he treats people that can absolutely do nothing back for him. I would like to be remembered as that kind of person. And it's been a pleasure. And I'm going to miss everybody, but I probably won't be gone. The mayor says I'll be the biggest registered lobbyist in North Carolina. So maybe I will. Thank all of you for the support.
Thank you, Larry. I've already said all our. I've already said what I have come to say and earlier today, and I'm gonna miss you greatly. We have, if we could write a book, I think it would be a bestseller in Burke County. Some of the things I'm a little concerned with, but I think we could sell the articles.
My life would be threatened if it's got
Yeah,
public safety
I hear you.
connotations to it.
I hear you, but again, this council will miss you, and we'll miss your level-headedness and all your expertise of knowing this community like you've known it, and you know it, in other words. And I just wish it, and hope that Trina will sit you down and let you start putting some things on paper, because the stories that you have about this community need to be remembered. And
Some of them do.
yeah, I mean, you know, we let Doggy Hatcher and people like that get away from this community without doing a lot of the
And I've got
writing.
some good stories about Doggy. I
know
used
you
to
do.
carry him to Raleigh,
I know.
pick up driver's license.
So
Treat.
please, Trina, try to get him to make some notations and put them down. Do a little bit every day, and when he tries to nod off, hit him with that gun. Okay, you got enough rubber bands there to put a lick on him. Again, thank you, Larry, for all the good years. Thank you a lot.
Well, Sally's got me on retainer to keep you calmed down.
Yeah.
so.
Amen.
Okay.
I don't know if we can afford that bill or not, but we're gonna keep you.
I was going to make comments about the election, but at this point, I just think it was not the kind of election that I'd like to see in this community. But it was a good election, the way it came out, and I guess I was surprised about some people that were running, not against me, but running in the election, that this community doesn't deserve the kind of politics that was rendered by an individual, and I just have to move on from there.
Actually started 4 years ago.
That's right, it did, without a doubt. Morganton people are smart.
Gotta give
They
them
know how to
credit.
answer people
They
like
like the
that.
consistency and the
Right.
stability.
That's right. We have a 20-year service pin. Leanne Patton is not here. She's in our computer IT department, a specialist, and she's not here with us tonight. And she'll get the pin from somebody on the staff. Public advocacy. I'll mention to you that we've got on November 19th we have the Festival of Lights downtown, and we will light the tree with Santa Claus going to be downtown. It'll be a beautiful night again, as we've always had. I hope the city council will come out and join us when we read the names, but I think it will be a great night. That's the 19th at 6 p.m. downtown Morganton. It's a Saturday. Then we have the Morganton, the J. Iverson Riddle Parade is December 1st and starts around 3 to 5 o'clock and 3 to 4 o'clock. And Larry will be driving the fire truck once again. The parade in Morganton is December 6th at 6 p.m. And we will again, City Council will be downtown. We'll let you know when to come down there and where to be. That'll be the festivities for the city downtown. You have anything you want to add, Sally?
Not to that.
Okay. All right, municipal power.
And before I do that, the mayor didn't give us a chance to talk, but I would like to say thank you to Larry for all the years. Enjoyed sitting next to you. Appreciate your kind comments, and will say that it is a partnership between the employees and this group. Thank you.
Thank you.
Power agency. We have elections on November the 15th, and there are 5 candidates running for the 2 seats. And the city has given their pledge of support to John Wasser, who is the mayor in Lexington, for the weighted vote. He has served on that board for us before and has done a nice job. And to Don Mitchell for the majority vote seat. He is in Monroe, and we will once again be supporting Don in that effort.
Very good. All right. I want to mention this. Julie, the article that was in Sunday's paper, the editorial was an excellent editorial. Did your new editor do it, or did Cheryl do it? Okay, all right. It's an excellent editorial, and it talks about small elections. And Sally made me aware of something that the public ought to be aware of, that we had about 14% of our registered voters voted in this election. It was not a lot of emotion in it, not like it was 4 years ago, but that's what it was in the state of the October elections, is 14%. And from what I understand, the way the enthusiastic electorate are coming out for the school board, early voting, and then tomorrow, it may not be 14%, it may be over that, but it's lackluster. And so that again shows that we're not much different in the city of Morganton than the state, no matter what kind of election it is. But anyway, that's needless. I'll go on. Consent agenda, Sally.
The consent agenda before you tonight includes 2 items. The staff considers those to be routine in nature. Would ask that you consider those in one motion unless somebody would like something discussed separately. For those of you at home, the 2 items are regular minutes from the meeting held on October 3rd, 2011, and then tax releases in the amount of $570.84.
Make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as is.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Appearances, anyone in the audience would like to come before the Morganton City Council that doesn't have anything on the agenda later tonight? Eric Bowman, you're on.
Thank you, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Start out with some very good news, first of all. The city's general fund balance was $5.2 million at the end of June 30th, which equates to about 4 months of expenses in reserve. For most of my clients, if they have 2 months' expenses, I feel real good. So to me, that's a real good indicator of the financial condition that the city's in at June 30th. I would like to say there's a flip side to that. The general fund did experience a decrease in fund balance of around $418,000, but that was down from last year's $1 million deficit. So that $600,000 difference is made up almost entirely of expense reductions. So we all know that, the revenues are stagnant, so any decrease of that magnitude had to come from expenses, and it came from basically 2 areas: cutting back on capital outlay and basically a large reduction in workforce expenses. So I don't know that you'll be able to keep that up, but I commend you for being able to do that in this past year. Looking down the road with expenses or with revenues being stagnant, even our property tax base has eroded, as you probably know. So it's going to be a challenge. It's a constant struggle, for all municipalities, and Morganton's no different. So I don't know when that will turn around. I don't know if anybody does. So things are maintaining just because you've been able to hold your expenditures down. Looking at your enterprise funds, which are supposed to be profit-making funds, as you know, that's water, wastewater, electric, and cable. Water had a surplus this year of $551,000, which sounds good, and it is good, but it was down about 50% from the prior year. Wastewater had a deficit of $820,000, primarily because of about $1 million capital expenditures, capital outlay. And that's an investment which is good, but it also drains your cash, so you've got another side of that coin as well. The electric fund, for the first time in many, many years, had a surplus of $650,000, which was caused by your raising rates, which you had to do because the local government commission recommended that you do it. Cable fund, for the first time in many, many years, had a surplus, $316,000, and that was pretty much a result of paying off your long-term debt, which we knew that was the big problem, just to get to the point where we could pay that off. Other things that I think are noteworthy and of a positive mode, the long-term debt decreased $2.6 million. Not most, but a lot of municipalities have had to increase their long-term debt, so I think that's significant. The tax collection rate was 99%, which was fantastic. Most tax collection rates that I've seen this year is running along 91 to 95%, so that generated about $8 million of taxes, so Lamanna certainly should be commended for that. And we say this every year, but I think it needs mentioning every year. The city has good internal controls, and the city has good records. At June 30th, the city's total assets was $129 million, so if you looked at that as being a business, it'd be a big business. And it obviously does not run by itself, and as Larry said, Karen and her staff do an excellent job. Without that coordination with her staff, it could be very difficult, and she does a great job. That is a quick summary of a 122-page report, so if you've got some questions or something that you want to comment on, we will try to talk about it.
Eric, I think one item you mentioned about the deficit in the sewer fund. I believe we have already approved some long-term debt, which will be happening in the future, that will cover that, and also some anticipated deficit for this year in the sewer fund. Is that not right, Sally?
That deficit was a planned deficit,
Right.
and we knew that we were going to do that. And that capital project and a lot of that Eric is talking about is in conjunction with the large project going on at the
Right.
waste treatment plant. Yeah, and we should be able to get some of that reimbursed once the state revolving loan is finalized and we get that cash.
Yeah, we essentially had to spend some of that up front.
We're just paying it up front, and
yeah.
we'll get that reimbursed. The other thing I'll comment on, if you don't mind, Eric was talking about the taxes and the 99% collection rate and all that, and no doubt that is phenomenal. And each month you get a tax collection activity report that tells you for the prior month how we are doing on tax collections that year. In the month for October of this year, our percentage collected is running ahead of last year at the same time. It's 64%. Last year it was 61, almost 62. But I will point out again Eric's comments, and we've talked about this before, even if we collect 99% of what's available,